If I can have your attention, please. Folks, can we have a seat? Okay. We have a couple of papers that are still being passed out, but I do want to call your attention. Hey, Amp. Guys, stop, look up. Stop writing. Hey, guys, listen carefully. It is time for you to stop whatever it is you're doing the homework, looking at whatever, and focus on what we're about to go over, because if you don't reflect on your work and see where you're right or wrong, you're not getting a whole lot better.
Yeah, that's right. It's time to stop.
That's it. All right, come on. Ready?
Oh, shoot. Now you won, not bad.
All right. Guys, we're just... You do realize that with this level of distraction that you are harming yourself, right? Thank you. Okay, so here's number one. And you don't need to know about turning the diagnostics on, but I did want to remind you about how to do that. If they ever ask for the correlation coefficient, your calculator will not do it. So that you know, when you go into the testing room, as you come in, we are going to clear your calculators, whether it be a school one that we give to you or one you could bring your own. I would actually prefer you bring your own because you're used to it. God bless. When you come in, we are going to clear out your calculators. We're going to hit the following buttons in order. Second Mem 712, that resets your calculator. And that means that typical functions that you might have had turned on now become turned off, and you need to turn them back on again. And the biggest one is this idea of diagnostics being turned on. So if they ever ask you to calculate the correlation coefficient, you need to turn your diagnostics on. The way you do that is you go to catalog, which is, I believe, above the 0, and then you scroll down until you hit diagnostics on, you hit enter, and then enter, and it'll say done or okay or something like that to confirm that your diagnostics are on. Then you can calculate the correlation coefficient when you do a linear regression. It'll say R equals. But in this particular problem, you don't even need to do that, because as you can tell, the general trend of these points is downward. As slope is negative, if it goes down, then the correlation will be negative, correlation coefficient. And the only way for a correlation coefficient to be either +1 or -1 is if the points are exactly on the line. So therefore, by process of elimination, it has to be -0.93. For this guy, a couple of different ways you can reason it. You don't need to include the first row because that has 35 seats in it. So take one of the number of rows off, and each row adds 4 seats. So it's got to be choice 4. But you can also plug in and try. For example, if you tried in the third row, it would go 35, 39, 43. And if I put in a 3 here, 3 minus 1 is 2, 2 times 4 is 8, and 35 plus 8 is 43. So you can check the formula. I would suggest checking it for at least 2 different values. Geometric sequence is always the number divided by the previous number, any sequence. Well, geometric is divided. So that would work out to be -2. And as far as the other page, the back, the last term, the first term is 3. And I know we've done this exact question before. And we were better at it this time, which is the kind of improvement we're looking for. The second term is 2 times the previous term minus 1. 2 times the previous term is 6, minus 1 is 5. Then you got to plug the 5 in. 2 times 5 is 10, minus 1 is 9. That is generating a recursive sequence and seeing which ones go where. Any questions? Okay. Now, this is the homework that you had on tap, and I am going to, at this point in time, ask if there are maybe 3 or 4 of you who want to hand in your reflection notebook where you're writing down what's wrong, and I will check them over as I scroll through these pages. Is there anybody who wants to hand it in? If you do, just hand it in, bring it up, and I will check it off. I'm just looking for good, hard, honest effort. Okay, and I think I could scroll through and at the same time check through the notebooks. Well, that's not, I got a notebook out there. Oh, another one. All right, so I have 4. Make it 5, and that's good enough for now.
Can I hand in my 9 page?
Oh, what's that?
What?
What did you say?
I didn't say anything.
Anyway, well, I know that, and he knows that. Now, take a look at the work on the board and see that, see if there's any issues with it. Let me scroll down. If you do have questions, ask about them, Spencer. Now is not the time. All right, are there any questions on that one, guys? No? Okay, good. Here's the next page. Let me cut the size down a little bit. I didn't circle keywords all over the place, but I circled a chunk of them. Again, if I am buried nose deep into this, then I got it. Then I will. You can talk to each other as you sit around there, if that can help. Yeah.
How'd you do, like, the second part of 35? Because I got the radius equals 8 inches and the diameter equals 16.
Well, did you get this right?
Yeah.
Okay. So you plug in a 66 for the volume and a 3.3 for the diameter. Oh, you know, I know what you did. Thank you so very much for reminding me of this, because I'm going to come back to this. Can everybody please get out your calculators? I want to show you the limits of your calculators and what your calculator's good at and what your calculator's bad at. You have to know your calculator. Okay, so here's the deal. Let's all enter this together. Ready? Let's do 66 divided by pi times 3.3 and do exactly what I said. 66 divided by pi times 3.3. Now hit enter. Now you may not know how to do this yet on your calculator, but it's pretty cool. Let's hit square root. Do second x squared. Listen carefully, you're going to learn something cool here. Second x squared, that puts the square root symbol on there, right? Hey, now go to second answer. It's at the bottom above the equals, I think. And that puts whatever your previous calculation was under the square root. Now hit enter. And what do you get?
8.32.
Exactly. You're getting, I think, what Lipstick came up with before. But there's a problem. It only divided the 66 by the pi. Hey, stop and pay attention. This is really big. Or you're going to lose points on your Regents because you don't know how to operate your calculator, not because you're not smart enough to get the question right. So listen, if you did what I just said, this is what your calculator did. It did 66 divided by pi, got that answer, and then multiplied by 3.3. Now do the following. Ready? Do 66 divided by. Put in a parenthesis, because now you're going to tell it to do the whole denominator. Parenthesis, pi times 3.3, parenthesis. Enter. Second square root, second answer. And now do you see that it says 2.52?
Yeah.
So you need to be very aware of when you need to use parentheses on your calculator. I would hate for you to lose 2, 3, 4 points on your test, not because you're not smart, but because you used the calculator in the wrong way. Make sense? Okay. All right, so let's go to the next page. There you go. Take a look. Whose is this one? Wilson. Wilson, you mind if I write your name on it?
Okay.
What's that?
Okay.
Wilson! Attaboy, Wilson. And you know, it's funny, I was looking at Wilson's, I'm going, man, there's not a lot here. That's Wilson's. All right.
Wait, no, please.
What? I think these last two questions are pretty important because I think, I know that completing the square will be on the test in one way, shape, or form. And I think that, Carissa, did you get your mother to write out the questions for you?
Yeah, she's doing it while I was doing my quizzes.
Very intelligent, because the boring part is writing the questions out. Now, from now on, you write the questions out, right? Tell Mom Mr. Lindquist knows her handwriting. Yeah, tell her this is the Carissa job, not the mom job. All right? Tell no matter how much Mom wants to get 100 on this Regents.
I saw the questions though. She just wrote them.
I'm sure I want you writing them as well.
Okay.
All right? Tell Mom I love her, you love her, but you need to do this, not Mom. All right. So this last question to me is extremely important because if you can factor this, you can factor anything, I think, with one possible exception. No, it's just a different type. It's not that it's harder, but we're good there. All right, guessing, are you locked in here paying attention? You lie like a rug. Okay.
Let me stop snitching, Sarah.
Shh. Spencer, now is not the time. Hey, Spencer, I'm very, very serious. There are times in life to produce, and there's times when clowning around is cool. It is a time to produce.
Understood.
Okay. All right, take a look at those two. I just want to get a drink.
Okay. What was number 11?
I think it's the fourth one. It's the growth exponential.
Yeah.
There we go. All right. And that one. I'll mark off my dates. I'm so excited.
How many days?
I'm so excited. And I just can't hide it. I'm about to lose control when I'm gonna like it. Oh, yeah. I'm so excited. I just can't hide it. Oh, yeah. All right.
Wasn't it okay if
Questions? Preguntas? All right. Shh. Take a look. Hey. Are we good?
Yes.
All right, that's the end of that page. Now we go here. Oh, we got to shrink her down. We'll go 75. Does it fit? Yeah, pretty much. Okay. I'll scroll up for the last answer in a minute. Take a look. This is at least the third time by my recollection that we've done this question. So you should be good at it by now. So that you know we have about maybe 3 more days of these Regents packets, the way they've been structured, and then I'm going to give you old Regents exams. All right? So, and these all questions all came off of old Regents exams. You'll just get a chance to see what they look like in one shot. Remember, Friday is a test. Okay? You can pick any point inside this double shaded area. I picked the point where it was 4 hours at the library, 9 hours babysitting, but anything in that region is fine. Always be very careful about avoiding any point that's on the line. Though it can be a solution if either of the lines is a broken line, it is not a solution. It's only a solution when they're solid. So in this case, if you did it, you're okay. All right? Any questions? Preguntas?
Why is this so cold in here?
Because you like to chill out.
Ooh, bazinga! All right, let's talk about the calculator again. Ready? Get the calculator out. The importance of parentheses. Now, did anybody get a graph that looks like this broken graph I put here? I'm willing to bet some of you did. Yeah. What you did wrong is, again, the parentheses. And you're not alone. The others just don't have the guts to raise their hand. Now, the first year, listen, this was on the very first ever Common Core Regents. And when I looked at this question, I remember saying to myself, well, at least they all got this one right. And then we graded it. And almost pushing 100% of the kids in the district, at least 80%, but pushing 100%, put the blue one down as their answer. And they wound up getting 1 out of 2. It's not like they got no points. But they didn't get full credit. The correct answer is, the correct answer is the red one. Now, the reason is parentheses. Hold on. Everybody get your calculator, go to y equals. Type in square root. Now put in x minus 1 and hit graph. And when you do that, you get the blue one that looks black. I only know it's blue because I used the pen that wrote it. Okay, now, here's what happened. Go back to y equals. It put the whole x minus 1 under the parenthesis, under the radical. Perhaps your calculator has an open parenthesis and then it doesn't close. That means that the minus 1 is included in that parenthesis. You need to tell the calculator that you don't want the minus 1 under the radical. This is how you do it. Go to y equals, don't erase what's there, go down 1 to y2. Type in square root. Type in x. Now, do you see how it put the parenthesis there for you? Close the parenthesis. Now, hit the directional key to move it out from under the radical. Now type minus 1. And then hit graph. Do you see the red one now? Okay. So in these 2 questions, here are 2 questions that on the test you probably would have lost points on, not due to a lack of intellect, but due to a lack of understanding with your calculator. Be very aware of that. Okay? This graph is pretty straightforward. It says down here, explain why in terms of your graph. So you just say it's not on the line. And very important question here. Popcorn's $5.75, drink is $2.25. They love these guys as a 4-point, even a 6-point question. Hasta la vista, vaya con Dios, toodaloo, ta-ta. Arrivederci, smile, arrivederci.